Yo, what's up guys? You got pokeaim here. Today we're going to be taking a competitive look at the new forms of Dialga and Palkia, comparing them to their old forms, talking about what they'll be like in Ubers in future generations. Obviously, I know that Pokemon Legends Arceus has no competitive Pokemon, no way to battle people besides being its single player game with trading, I guess, right? But we're looking forward towards Gen 9 or whatever game these Pokemon eventually become available in your regular Pokemon setting with battles. So if you guys do enjoy this video, make sure you leave a like. Also, let me know your thoughts down below. I do miss stuff. I'm not perfect, and there's always someone with some really cool ideas that I love to see. And if you are new to the channel, subscribe. I'm already 300k. I upload competitive Pokemon every single day, whether it be these type of breakdowns or Showdown Live, sometimes both, sometimes Wi-Fi battles, sometimes tournaments that I'm in as well. So if you like that sort of thing, feel free to subscribe. Now, before we jump right into this, a word from our sponsor. Guys, it's a lovely day to take my dog out on a walk, and I'm gonna be running back and forth for her on this little path over here, and I don't want a clunky wallet, right? I don't want a clunky wallet getting in my way. She's already going up ahead a little bit. Puka, I'm doing an ad, please. That's why I'm very happy to say that this video is sponsored by the Ridge wallet. Now, I absolutely love my Ridge wallet. Puka, here. Puka loves my Ridge wallet too. I'm so happy that they sponsor me for the year of 2022, and the Ridge wallet's absolutely amazing, right? Like I said, I can put it in my pocket without there being much weight, much stuff in the way. It holds up to 12 cards. It ships worldwide, and it has a lifetime warranty, which I think is the best part, right? I can break it and they'll fix it for me forever. You can go to ridge.com/Draco, get your percentage off, and again, ships worldwide. Thank you so much, Ridge Wallet. I'm gonna go run with my dog now and have some fun. Let's go, Puka. And she's faster than me. Go to ridge.com/Draco, just like Puka's going. I love the Ridge Wallet. All right, thank you again for sponsoring me for 2022. One of my favorite sponsors. They just let me do whatever I want, and it's amazing. And we have such a great relationship, so big shout out to them. So let's talk about Dialga and Palkia. So these are the origin forms of Dialga and Palkia. I guess it was fitting considering we have Giratina and Giratina Origin as well, so it makes sense that things would change, though I guess that was more so because of the distortion world. Whatever. Either way, the comparison between Dialga and Origin Dialga is that regular Dialga has 120 attack, whereas the Dialga Origin form keeps all the same stats, but instead of having 120 attack, it has 100 attack and then 120 special defense. So the only difference between these two is the 120 special defense, whereas Palkia has a more dramatic and I think more impactful difference. Regular Palkia, base 100 speed, 120 attack. Palkia Origin trades that 120 attack for 100 and then gets 120 speed, and that is very, very important, and we'll get into that in a bit. But that speed tier is very important, especially in an Uber setting, and by Ubers I mean a setting where you fight Pokemon. Like, I wish Ubers would be shown here while I'm talking about this. Let's actually just change it to make it a little bit easier. A setting where you fight Pokemon like Giratinas, like Kyogres, like Landorus, like Lugias, etc. So that's like a setting like that. Though Landorus can be seen anywhere. But these Pokemon can only be in these forms when using specific items. That is the Adamant Crystal for Dialga, which is funny because it was Adamant Orb before, but the Adamant Crystal, maybe it will transform into the Adamant Orb. And then for Palkia, it is the Lustrous Globe. Now, in Pokemon Legends Arceus, there are no held items. The only way to get these Pokemon forms, though, is by like clicking on them and then making them compatible with things. But there's actually, the Pokemon aren't actually holding items, right? But looking at Giratina, if we look at Giratina Origin can only get this form by holding the Grisius Orb. It has to hold this orb, right? Whereas regular Giratina can have access to literally any item. So we can assume, and again, this is just assumptions. This is all about theory modding and talking anyway. We can assume that these Pokemon have to hold their items, and we're just going to put the Adamant Orb here and the Lustrous Orb as placeholders. Maybe they'll change and check it, but like maybe there'll be the actual thing, like the Lustrous Globe, etc. But we're going to assume that they have to hold their items while using it. Now, this is obviously a limitation on the Pokemon, right? Because they can only hold this item. And while these items are good, they boost Steel and Dragon type moves by 1.2 times the power. There is nothing compared to a Palkia holding a Choice Specs and having 1.5 times the power, holding a Life Orb and having 1.3 times the power, or holding a Choice Scarf and being faster, right? So this is a significant difference, and it is, I want to say a nerf for the Pokemon. Now, in Dialga's sense, there's really no reason to like use this Dialga form except for two particular sets, in my opinion, and that is offensive Adamant Orb, basically, right? So if you're using this one and you're going to go offensive, you use the Orb and you go like, you know, your standard max speed, whatever. Maybe you want to use it for Stealth Rock, Draco, and then you'll have your Fire Blast, and then whatever other thing, maybe Thunder for Kyogre, right? You literally only have this just because it can take on Kyogre slightly better. It can take on Palkia slightly better than regular Dialga. But for the most part, regular Dialga will run this exact same set, but it'll do it with a Life Orb, or it'll do it with a Chople Berry, or it'll do it with a Shuckle Berry for a Groudon. So in that sense, there's not really too much of a difference. This would be like a more standard offensive set. I do, however, think that one real cool set with this thing will be the Trick Room offensive sets, and that can run like Draco Meteor, maybe mixed with Outrage, and you can even run Flash Cannon if you wanted for fairies, depending. Maybe this will be more VGC. Trick Room Dialga also can run, obviously, Fire Blast. It can run Mix. Now, I think the reason this is better than, obviously, the other one is just because of that 120 special defense. Again, the only real difference is the fact that the Pokemon has more special defense. The attack drop doesn't matter so much because while Dialga does have access to Bulk Up, and Bulk Up was something that was kind of used on Dialga a lot during original DVP Ubers. I used it actually recently. I was in a DVP Ubers tournament, and it would be like sub, Bulk Up with leftovers, and protect. You take advantage of your pressure ability because you'd be taking more PP from your opponents. That's not something that Dialga does as much now because of the inclusion of fairy types. Now, Dialga obviously being part steel means that it can hit fairy types with stab, but in Ubers, you're better off running Dragon Claw or Outrage than Iron Head, because Iron Head's not going to be good. There's way too many resists for Iron Head in Ubers. So, for Trick Room variants, this one's just strictly better if it wants to run the Adamant Orb, and if it's running Adamant Orb, you definitely want to run double, you know, Draco Meteor and Outrage, and then, you know, Fire Blast for your steals. That basically is just great coverage overall, and it's something that Dialga has ran back in the day too. But for Choice Specs, for Life Orb, for Choice Scarf, for Sub, for Special Defensive with Roar, though I think this can also get away with Special Defensive with Roar, it just doesn't have the item to boost it, but that has never stopped Giratina Origin Form. However, Giratina Origin Form also has the added plus of being immune to Earthquake, so it can switch it on Groudon due to its Levitate. So, I do think there is some sort of merit behind running Special Defensive Dialga Origin, but overall, if you want to run any Dialga like that, especially if this one is limited to running this item, or whatever item, the Adamant version of it, that they have going forward, either offensive Stealth Rock with Adamant Orb or the Trick Room variants will be your go-to, right? Otherwise, this Dialga just does it better with Choice Specs, Choice Scarf, etc. So in this case, not too much of a big difference. Less attack doesn't make too much of a difference for Dialga overall. Now, in Palkia's case, this 120 base speed is very, very important. Again, losing the attack doesn't matter too much for Palkia. The only attacking move that was physical that Palkia would ever run would be, at some points, like Focus Punch or something with sub leftovers Focus Punch for Blissey. It was called Blissey Box or Palkia. And I've also seen like Home Claws, but yeah, with like Aqua Tail and some heat with that. But for the most part, Palkia is typically offensive, Scarf, Specs, Lustrous Orb, 4 attacks as your offensive Palkia check, as your offensive Kyogre check, because you are 4 times resistant to Water Spout and water moves in general, and just something that can do damage, even though Kyogre can still beat it by going for Calm Mind. So definitely, you know, a plus to have this 120 base speed. Now, this speed tier is very important because while you are limited to your Lustrous Orb, that's already an item that Palkia runs, right? Like, it's not like Lustrous Orb or Lustrous Globe is going to be something that's new to Palkia. Palkia, offensive Palkia, while it can run Life Orb, Choice Specs, and that, it does run this because Palkia makes more use of its dual stab than Dialga does, because Dragon plus Water is just really good, right? Your Water moves are going to hit the Fairy types, and your Draco Meteor is going to hit the Dragon types. And that's basically what Ubers consist of, right? Fairy types and Dragon types and whatever in between. So Draco Meteor and Fire Blast are already there, and you're boosting your best moves. Obviously, you have Spatial Rend too, so like, Draco Meteor isn't always used. Draco Meteor is actually something that's more used on Specs, but they can also use Surf. But you got Spatial Rend plus Hydro Pump, you got your Thunder to hit Kyogre, and then you have your Fire Blast to hit your Steals. And that's kind of standard Palkia with a Lustrous Orb. Give or take an item, or give or take a move, give or take Thunder Wave, whatever. That's standard Palkia with a Lustrous Orb. Now this set just becomes strictly better because now you are faster than Lugia. And that's a pretty important thing because previously in the rain, you know, obviously your Hydro Pump is it's coming off 150 base power stab. Lugia has multi-scale. And Lugia, if you're not like Scarf Palkia, Lugia can just roost on you. So if Lugia comes in, takes your Hydro Pump in the rain, maybe it does about 30%, 35% because of multi-scale. But the next one will obviously do more. It could actually KO it. Previously, Lugia could just roost it off, wait till you miss, or just be not really care. And Palkia would have to Thunder Wave if it wanted to be able to beat it. I think 35% is a little bit of a range. It's a little out of range, but I would say that's pretty close when it comes to Palkia. We're gonna run the damage calc just to let you guys know. And there you go, the standard one with a Luster Storm. You can see it's here. We have Uber defensive. Hydro Pump does 20. Oh, I was right, 35%. Yep, roughly 29, 35%. Awesome, yay me. So, as you see right there, that makes a big difference, right? The fact that Lugia has multi-scale because it's at full, and it gets multi-scale because it's running heavy-duty boots, right? So it doesn't have to worry about Stealth Rock anymore. So it's always going to be at multi-scale. So it takes 29 to 35%. But let's get rid of the ability multi-scale for a second. And then in the rain, you are doing 59 to 70%. So this makes a big difference when it comes to Lugia, right? Because you would need higher rolls because you're doing 29 to 35. But it just makes it possible. It makes it possible to beat a Pokemon like Lugia. And obviously Lugia has to have Thunder Wave in order to beat you now. It can't just roost it off. And like it has to have Thunder Wave to cripple you. So assuming you hit, and if Lugia is not in multi-scale, I mean, you're seeing it do 59 to 70%, right? So this is standard Palkia. Standard Palkia would do this to Lugia too, and before, you just roost, and you're fine. But it doesn't matter now, because you're faster, and you can 2-hit KO it. Obviously, other relevant tiers that you are faster, and let's go National Dex Ubers, because that has the, whoops, I was in a Discord call. I forgot I was in a Discord call. 1 sec, 5 minutes. National Dex, let's go to National Dex, anything goes, whatever. So in National Dex, right, you also now speed tie with Palkia, you also now speed tie with the, you also speed tie with Arceus. So that's a very important speed tier as well, because normally Arceus could just be fast, and obviously E-Killer would always go for extreme speed anyway, but now Arceus cannot come in, right? So support Arceus types, now just pick Arceus Water, for instance. Arceus Water as a support mon, 356 speed. That's something that run over like Lotties and things around that tier. Some of them also go down to 339, so they're faster than like Garchomps and things. And there's some other Landorses. We can go like a little bit less for that, like 334. But now this would force support Arceus to run max speed if it wants to beat Palkia 1v1, because look how much Spatial Run is doing with a Lustrosorb, 41 to 49%. So if Stealth Rock are up, it allows it to beat potentially this Pokemon. It can no longer be outsped, at least at worst it's speed type. And I mean, support Arceus could beat it before because it Toxic it, and then it just recover off the damage because it was always faster. So this is an absolutely huge buff for Palkia in itself. And again, the only sets that this Palkia will do better is going to be either Life Orb, Choice Specs, or Choice Scarf, or, you know, leftover special defensive with Thunder Wave sets. Maybe like, you know, if you're really fearing your opponent to have like Kyogre or things like that. Subsets, obviously, but specifically on Lustrous Orb sets, which is one of the most standard versions of Palkia. This is the biggest buff, and it changes the game completely, right? It changes the game completely. You're fast Incinerate as well, which is, you know, an Uber there too. You're also, there's a few other Pokemon that I wanted to say that are very important and also known as well. No longer speed type with Mega Kangaskhan, so that's a pretty cool one too. You're faster than Landorus, you're faster than Mega Lucario. Oh, that's why I hit that speed tier, it was for Mega Lucario. Yeah, Arceus Water hit 356 for Mega Lucario. And it just allows you to beat Pokemon you previously couldn't before, like the Lotties, if they want to be ran there, Mega Metagross. Unfortunately, Naganadel is still a point over you, but you know, even Mega Rayquaza, which is banned, which is fine, which is going to be banned from certain tiers, but like even speed time with Mega Salamence, if Megas are back. This is assuming Megas come back eventually, which they do. So it just gives a lot for this Pokemon, right? It makes its offensive sets even scarier, especially in the rain. And this is the one I am most excited for because this one changes Ubers completely, right? Regular Giratina versus Giratina-O, so Origin versus the land form. Land form is typically known as the wall, right? The Great Wall, that Mon sits there, it rests, it roars you, it will-o-wisps, it hexes, it defogs. The other one is usually default offensive, can be sub-combine. Now, regular Giratina can be sub-combine too with leftovers and protect and pressure and do a lot of things like that. But this specifically, like, they went all out when... First off, I like its design. I like the Pegasus aspect of it. I know some people don't like it. I like it. I know some people don't like Dialga. I'm okay with Dialga. I like the way it looks when it attacks in the game, at least. But I love what they did with Palkia. It changes the game completely, and it's gonna force speed tiers on Pokemon. And this is assuming Arceus comes back, and, you know, for future Ubers games as well. And for the Ubers players, please let me know your thoughts. Like, you gotta be excited for this one, right? Who cares about the 100 attack loss? Palkia was rarely, if ever, going for physical attacks, right? It was rarely ever going for physical attacks. But having that speed tier and forcing support Arceus now to not run enough bulk to not be 2-KO'd by XYZ, right? Now, if they want to be bulky, they got to be max speed and max HP, because even if you still got to be fast in the other threats, but now you can't even pressure Palkia. So this one I expect to be used a lot. I expect this version of Palkia to be used a lot, and the only times I think people will ever use this Palkia is assuming this has to hold these. This is also, like I said, guys, this is assuming these mons have to hold these items. If they don't have to hold these items, it's a completely different story. Like, first off, there is literally no reason to use the other two if they don't have to hold these items. I will always use Palkia Origin because it is strictly better. I will always use Dialga Origin because it strictly has more special defense, so that's better. If I can run leftovers, I can run choice specs, there is zero reason to use the other Palkias, right? They'll become obsolete. It's like the comparison of Kyurem White to, like, Reshiram, or Zekrom to Kyurem Black, in a sense. They got better when they did that. So again, that's a little bit inaccurate, because there were times where Reshiram and Sun was broken with all the time Sun, and there were times where Zekrom was one of the best Pokemon Ubers, black and white Ubers, right? So let's hear where it came out. So yeah, but we're going to be assuming that these Pokemon have to hold these items. But let me know your thoughts, guys. I would love to know them down below. Obviously, I'm very excited about Palkia. You know I am. What do you guys think? How do you guys think Ubers is going to change? What was I missing that's going to happen with these Pokemon as well? So let me know down below. I'll see you guys next time. Subscribe. Check out Ridge Wallet as well if you're actually looking for a wallet. I truly do recommend them. Been using them for about 2 years, 2.5 years now, I would say, I think, roughly. And they're great. Absolutely great. I got some new one coming in too. But yeah, I'll see y'all next time. Peace.